Welcome back. I'm going to present now the module 4 that will be about the conditions of the new CAP. So in agriculture, the trend towards greater intensification has been accompanied by a significant increase in the use of both nitrogen and phosphorus fertilizers. This led to excessive amounts of nitrates and phosphates in waters and to eutrophication of these waters. As part of its efforts to achieve the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification has developed the concept of land degradation neutrality to encourage an optimal mix of measures designed to avoid land degradation. FAO has established the Global Soil Partnership to promote sustainable soil management as a means to achieve food security while protecting the environment. The partnership has produced voluntary guidelines for sustainable soil management. Their role is to guide strategic and context-specific decision-making to address major threats such as an imbalance of nutrients and nutrient cycles and the pollution of soils. The International Code of Conduct for the Sustainable Use and Management of Fertilizer is an important tool for implementing these voluntary guidelines, with a special regard to nutrient imbalances and soil pollution. Europe, under the Common Agricultural Policy, is helping to reduce the pollution of soil and waters by nitrates through a variety of measures which include enhanced conditionality, eco-schemes, and a good management practice. A new green agriculture architecture of the CAP is being defined and represents the framework of good practices that will be examined in this unit. Strategy plans for a new programming period are based on different levels of measures that will help agricultural systems to ensure sustainable use of land and limiting climate change. There will be mandatory rules defined by a new and enhanced conditionality and voluntary actions given by Pillar 1 eco-schemes and Pillar 2 environmental measures. We will examine the mandatory and the voluntary measures. First of all, a part of the mandatory framework, we can consider the European Nitrate Directive with the two main objectives. The first one is to reduce water pollution by nitrates from agricultural sources, and the second one is to prevent further pollution. As seen in previous units, the directive is managed by European countries and involves monitoring water quality in relation to agriculture, designation of nitrate vulnerable zones, and an establishment of voluntary codes of good agricultural practice and of mandatory measures to be implemented in action programs for nitrate vulnerable zones. Codes of good agricultural practice cover activities such as application periods, manure storage methods, and crop rotation. Action programs must include obligatory measures concerning periods of prohibition of the application of certain types of fertilizers and limitation to the application of the fertilizers near watercourses, for example. In the new CAP, it is mandatory for farmers that receive support to respect the European legislation on minimum obligations directly related to climate issues. These include an enhanced conditionality, which is applied under two areas. The first one is the statutory management requirements or legislative requirements. And the second one is the good agricultural and environmental condition, which is the obligation of keeping a range of standards related to the soil, the protection and the maintenance of soil organic matter, and the water protection. Note that statutory management requirements also apply to farmers that are not receiving the CAP support. On water quality, the two statutory management requirements are given by the Water Directive and the Nitrate Directive. The good agricultural and environment conditions for water and soil are shown here. For example, number 5 for water obliques to buffer strips along water courses, and number 6 on soil considers tillage management and slope consideration. Eco-schemes are mandatory for the member states and voluntary for farmers who wish to receive an additional payment funded by the CAP. Pillar 2 measures are voluntary for both member states and farmers and target specific actions that address long-term impacts. The eco-schemes foreseen by the new CAP are a new way of spending Pillar 1 specialized on environment and climate. In 2021, the eco-schemes will be part of Pillar 1. Member states have the flexibility over content of eco-schemes. Possible examples of eco-schemes applied to the protection of the soil are the maintenance of organic farming, the perennial cover in orchards, the catch crops beyond the good agricultural environmental condition and nitrate directive requirements, and the maintenance of zero tillage. The Commission has developed a farm sustainability tool for nutrients, whose use will become the condition number 5. The condition is developing support with the design of that tool and with data storage and processing service requirements. Instead of attempting to achieve specific objectives with single measures, it may be more effective to use a bundle of related management measures to enhance the delivery of the specific objective. At the same time, good practices can facilitate impacts on several environmental and climate objectives. The European Union is committed with international conventions and codes to promote sustainable soil management. The new green architecture of the CAP supplies a framework on good practices for fertilizing and soil management. Apart from the Nitrogens Directive, the CAP is defining a new conditionality and voluntary actions given by eco-schemes and climate actions. There is, therefore, a battery of tools that support farmers on water and soil conservation. Thank you very much for listening.
The Libernitrate project has received funding from the LIFE program of the European Union.